and it says we're live. You know, that few seconds waiting for it to tell us we're live seems like it takes forever.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm bored, and as Scribe said, when I get bored, I tend to stream. So here we are.
Hi, everybody who's I would think right now is nobody. I'd be surprised if there's anybody already watching.
We have two viewers. Well, it says one viewer.
I need to get to the channel. Where's the? Does it give you the link to where the video is, or is it just already on your channel?
It's on the channel. Hang on, I'll send it to you here.
Okay. Oh, there it is. Never mind. I got it.
Okay.
Cool.
Hey,
5 are
everybody.
watching. Jeez, you guys are quick.
Well, we're also competing because Kraut is about to have a stream here at 2.
Oh, yeah, he's on
So,
German time. Yeah.
yeah, and he's got Tim on.
Oh no. Oh, that I'm sure that'll be an entertainment.
I offered to give a donation if he makes Tim cry. You know, I was against him being locked out of posting. Oh, hang on a second. I forgot to quiet my video that is running with the chat. Okay.
Oh.
I was against him being, quieted down on YouTube because I don't like that for anybody, but that dude's a dick.
Yeah, but the for lack of a better phrase, the dicks need to be exposed.
True.
I mean,
And that's why anybody watching, please don't report people for their stupid ass SJW videos. I need those for I need that for content, damn it.
No, and it like I've always said, the conversation has to take place between both sides of an argument, even if one is demonstrably, provably wrong or just incorrect or whatever. You have to have that because it's not a matter so much of trying to convince the other side that they're wrong. It's for the benefit of anybody watching to make up their own mind between two passionate avatars of the argument.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. What we plan to do today, Scribe found a great site where we enter, what is it, 3 nouns?
3 nouns, yes.
3 nouns, and it gives us a pre-generated blog topic.
A list of topics that we can work off of. So rather than Monkey or I coming up with something, we'll just take random nouns that you guys post. I presume they can be anything you want, even if it's going to be dirty, because I figure it's going to be dirty because it's shit posting. So,
real quick, let's start with that. It says monkey give Scribe some head. Let's do monkey, Scribe, and head.
Got it.
See what happens.
Okay, monkey, Scribe.
Faith, I agree with you there. Anytime, if it's something that's actually illegal, I have no problem with it being reported. Yeah, exactly. But if it's just somebody being an asshole, let him be an asshole. It's more fun for me that way.
Okay, so it gives us 1, 2, 3, 5 blog randomly generated topics. Number 1, and we can decide which one we want to, or we can have the audience decide which one we want to riff off of. Number 1 is why we love Monkey and you should too. Number 2 is what will Scribe be like in 100 years? Number 3, the worst advice we've ever heard about head.
Oh my God, that one's awesome.
that might just be the winner. Number 4 is 10 signs you should invest in Monkey.
Oh, I have to go with that one on principle.
Okay, well, number 5, in case it even matters, the history of Scribe, which is a short story. But yeah, so those are our 5 topics. You want to go after the?
We got to go with the worst head.
Okay, so the topic is the worst advice we've ever heard about head. Go,
I'm
Monkey.
Gonna go way back to, this isn't actually advice about, well, it's kind of advice about head. My first real girlfriend, first girl I had sex with, I had gone down on her, but she was very sexually naive. Like, she knew nothing. She didn't even know a blowjob was called a blowjob. And we're sitting there, getting a little romantic. And she looked at me and she goes, how do you eat out a guy? And I laughed so fucking hard. And I felt bad because she was, genuinely trying to.
Sure.
But you can't look at somebody and say that and not have them laugh.
Yeah, that's how do you eat out again?
Yeah. So I had to explain what a blowjob was.
Yeah, I had a similar experience. I guess I have that macho cred that I took a virgin's virginity once.
Oh yeah.
But it's not all that it's cracked up to be because yeah, they don't know anything and it's all very new and awkward. So I was very gentle and everything else, and when it came down to actual oral sex, she wouldn't do it, and she didn't like it have it done to her either.
Oh.
She was it was a very it wasn't a very long lasting the relationship didn't last for completely different reasons, but it was a very weird thing sexually. As far as like God head stories, I don't have any advice so much. Well, I mean, as far as like giving it to a girl, you have to work up to it. That's always been my thing. Is like you have to. See, I mean, it's all about the buildup. This moves right into what I was talking about last night about movies and things where you have to like earn those moments. You have
Oh
to,
yeah. Right.
yeah,
Right.
you have to actually legitimize the impact of it. So it's all about the foreplay. And if you're going to go down on a girl, you got to start. And if you're being romantic, I mean, so, it depends on the situation. But if you're being romantic and everything, you start up on the inner thigh and you work your way down, and you kind of almost get there. You tease and you stop. You pull back. You go up the other thigh. That kind of thing.
Oh,
You know?
this is I'm the kind of person that when I do something, I have to study it a lot, and that included sex. So when I
Mm-hmm.
was first, becoming sexually active, I used to
Mm.
go to the library all the time and check out just books on it.
Mm.
And I remember this one story of this couple. They were talking about how hard it can be for guys to find the clit.
Right.
And this was a couple that had been married for like 20, 30 years. And they asked him to point out on his wife where the clit was. And he pointed to a freckle. And the best part about that is, though, that both of them talked about how great he was at oral sex.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, she obviously was lying about it,
Yeah.
unless she really enjoyed having that part of her labia licked. But yeah,
Yeah.
I love stories like that. They're just awesome.
Yeah, I used to go to the library too. It was the stack of Hustlers underneath my dad's bed.
Oh, nice, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, between I mean there's a line in our favorite comedy rape movie Revenge of the Nerds where at the very end she's like, "Hey, you're amazing." And he's like, "Yeah, because all we think about is sex."
Yes.
And it's really the case. I mean, I gamed out in my head in my fantasies so much based on porn and just imagination and everything else long before I ever actually did anything with a real person. And by
Right.
the time I did it with a real person, even though it was the first time, I already had like a playbook in my head. So I think, and as far as I was told, unless they were just sort of stroking my ego amongst other things, um, I did a lot better than I would have if I was just a complete noob at the whole thing.
Right. My first time, we were both virgins, and that should never, ever, ever happen.
Mm,
It was so awkward. We just gave up. We're like,
yeah.
we're done. Fuck it. Okay, we need three more nouns, guys.
Yep. Give us some random nouns.
Nerds. There's one.
Nerds. Okay. Nerds. Works for me.
Yeah, that the virgin on virgin sex should actually be illegal.
Yeah.
Gooch.
Gooch
Gooch
taco.
and taco. There you go. Nerds. Gooch,
Nerd, gooch,
taco.
and taco. All right, let's go and see what we get here. Go
I
back.
am a little curious. I was thinking that it would give us blog topics using each of those three.
I don't know what its algorithm is, but it's
So I'm going to start making videos. I'm going to use that.
okay. Uh, okay, I'm seeing a pattern forming here with some of these. Um, the only one that makes any kind of sense or isn't just a repeat of the ones we already did. Um, 14 common misconceptions about taco.
Oh,
Now, taco, we could take to mean a whole bunch. We're coming right back to oral sex again, but
exactly. We have our own thing going on here.
misconceptions about taco. I remember when I was very young, I was told like where do babies come from? And I remember one of the kids in my neighborhood said, "There's a factory between a girl's legs." I was like, "A baby factory?"
I don't actually remember ever hearing about where babies came from.
Oh yeah.
I I do remember. Here's an inappropriate story. My mom was one of those people who always told us, if you ever have any questions about sex, ask me.
Oh, that's dangerous
It
territory.
is. I was maybe 10 or 11, and I was curious about how women masturbate, but I didn't know the word masturbate. I knew jacking off. So I went to my mom. I said, "You always said we could ask you anything." And she goes, "Yeah." I said, "How do women jack off?" I said, "Because I understand with the guy, it's kind of like a pump, but how do women do it?" And my poor mom never could answer the question. She just laughed so hard, which taught me an important lesson. Mom did not mean what she said.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a rough place to be for a mother. Of course, if she opens the door like that, you got to expect it.
yeah, and that's why I never said that to my own children, because you don't know
Yeah.
what's going to come out of their mouths.
Oh, it's like that rule in lawyering: never ask a question you don't already know the answer to of a witness.
Yes.
Otherwise, you're going to get yourself fucked over. So that I tried to, as you were talking there, I tried a couple extra combinations on that website, and yeah, the topic structures are exceedingly repetitive. So I have moved to a different site that just randomly generates topics. I doubt they'll be as funny, and there's not much audience participation involved here. I just hit a button and it pops out some random thing.
Oh, cool. Well, let's do that.
So let's see this. Okay, and okay. What are some things you shouldn't say at work? Allahu Akbar.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. I used to get my peers at work used to constantly ask me how I never got fired.
Mm,
Um, I do have a way of being able to tell somebody they're an asshole without actually saying it.
mm.
So I know how to toe that line. But yeah, there's so many things you shouldn't say at work. Telling the boss how hot his wife is generally is not a good idea.
Yeah, no. I've found that, well, as far as things not to talk about at work, the same things. It's sort of like if you go to a friend's family's dinner table or something, you don't talk about politics, you don't talk about religion, and unless you really know what you're talking about, don't talk about sports.
Oh yeah, the sports was always a big one at this one. I worked at a machine shop for a while. Most boring job I ever had, but it paid very well. And the owner was a really big Minnesota Vikings fan. And this was around the time they actually had a decent team. And I love football, but I don't like talking about other teams. And he would always come to me and want to have these long conversations while I was trying to work.
Um, the the one thing that I don't that I have a real pet peeve about at work, and I work for a relatively small company, so it's not like super corporate thing, is gossiping about stuff going on at work. I just it's I'm kind of a snob that way, I guess. It's like it's not professional. It doesn't do anybody any good, and I don't like supposition and rumor mongering. It's like, don't talk nasty about somebody behind their back or something. It doesn't help anything. That always kind of ticks me off for whatever reason.
What else we got there?
Let's see. Next one. Uh, okay. Would you rather age from the neck up only or the neck down only?
Oh, neck up only.
Well, neck up only if they mean like just physical appearance, because if they're talking like brain capability, I don't know. Would I rather not be able to think but move around well, or not be able to move around well but still be able to think?
With my current condition, I'm going with keeping my body healthy,
Yeah,
because fuck that.
yeah. I have a there's a great likelihood that I'll probably get Alzheimer's, and that's
Mm.
always been kind of a in the back of my mind concern. I'm hoping. I keep hearing about all the research and breakthroughs they've been having the last several years, but they haven't found a quote unquote cure for it yet. Although there was oh, what's that NPR radio show? It's like Brain Lab or Tech Lab or something. I forget what it's called. Anyway, they had a deal on there where they found that just by one of the things they think causes Alzheimer's is like there's plaque that builds up on your brain essentially, and sort of like dulls the communication between your neurons and all that.
Hmm.
um, they found in mice that if they tested out a couple things because the idea was, well, if the plaque is causing there to be a blunting of the neurological sparking going on, what if we put like a little fiber optic tube into a mouse's brain and just pumped in light pulses in the same rhythm as the brain's operation.
Hmm.
And they did that, and suddenly their cognition went up like 50% in like half a day.
Oh wow, there have been
And
so many advances in things like that.
well, the weird thing was, and then they're like, that's awfully invasive. What if we just put them in a box with a strobe light going that way, and the same thing happened? Just by having them in a box with light flashing at them, the exact same effect happened. So they're like, okay, so could we just sit in a room with a light strobing at us, and that would help cure Alzheimer's? They haven't gotten to the point yet where they can actually test that effectively in humans. My fingers are crossed because that would be crazy if that actually worked. Like the most non-invasive thing you can think of.
Well, I'm a diabetic. You keep looking at medical
Mm-hmm.
technologies lately.
Yeah.
I saw a really cool thing that they did where, unfortunately, you basically have to starve yourself, but they've reversed diabetes by having you lower your body fat percentage
Yeah.
down to the point where your pancreas has like basically no fat in it, and
Ooh,
suddenly it
okay.
starts working again.
Oh, so it's sort of like rebooting it.
Basically, yeah, it's
Huh.
the reset switch.
Let's see. What is one thing you would like to become better at?
Oh man, so many things. I wish I could play an instrument. I'd really love to learn to play guitar, but my
Yeah.
fingers don't. Even before the whole neck thing, my fingers wouldn't listen to me, and I have very big fingers. I have very big hands. I've actually had people look at my hands and go, "Damn, you have big hands," and that's a weird compliment to get.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd love to learn to like play an instrument.
I'd like to learn how to like dance, like actually like ballroom dance kind of, dance. I've always had happy feet, so to speak, and but I've never actually had any training or done anything that was formal. So I like to learn to dance, I guess. Let's see. Next. Now, this is relatively brief. Do you prefer talking over the phone or face to face?
Um, I prefer face to face because you get the inflection of the face.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm not really a big fan of. It goes back to people not being a fan of their own voice.
Yeah.
So I've always thought I sounded funny on a phone.
I, truth be told, if we were all sitting in a room right now, I don't think I could be as outspoken as I am in this situation where I'm essentially just, sitting by myself talking to people, but I'm sort of focused and not having to deal with the social aspect of it.
Ah, okay.
In some, I mean, that's the best way I can sort of describe it. Uh, I've always been kind of a social retard. Um, I have my moments, but mostly it's been sort of anxiety, that kind of stuff. But this situation, it's like all the stress is gone. I just sort of say what I'm thinking, and my mind seems to work a bit more clearly when I'm not having to think about who's looking at me or what's going on or how many people in the room and that kind of thing.
Oh shit, Bearing's here.
Oh,
I've never
well,
got to call you a cunt out loud while you're listening, and I have to
yeah.
do it.
Hi,
Cunt.
Bearing.
Um, you're talking. Oh, another reason I prefer face to face is I am a very animated talker. Like
Mm.
right now, my hands are actually moving.
Oh, are you Italian?
No,
Oh, okay.
Irish and Indian actually. Though
Ah.
the Irish definitely kick the Indians' ass in this case.
That's racist.
It is. My older brother, if he would go out into the sun, he would get dark. He would actually look black. I go out into the sun and I get that lobster glow. It's not
Oh,
fair.
look at the chat. Heavy Fisted just put in a real dire sort of question.
Oh, I have a decision to make in the next year: amputate my leg right above the knee, or continue to have knee and leg surgeries for the next few years. If you heard our chat the other day, I would go with the surgery, and it's probably the wrong answer there. But I don't even like to have my hair cut, so losing a part of my body like that, it's one of the things when they told me I was diabetic, my first thought was, I'm going to lose my feet. No, fuck that. Yeah, I'm very much, I like to have myself together.
I guess it would depend on what the prognosis was for what kind of quality of life I would have with having multiple surgeries over years versus having it taken off. I mean, the pragmatist in me would say, save my money, save the pain, chop it off, and then just adapt to not having it.
Oh yeah, and there's so many things you can do nowadays. There was this great guy who used to come in to I used to work at Walmart a long time ago. He would come in, he had this really cool prosthetic leg. It had flames going up it. And I thought, if I ever have to do that, that's how I'm going. I'm going to get something funny.
Right. Yeah. No, there was I remember it was like some model or something. She lost her leg and she had this prosthetic made that it looked like porcelain or like china because it was like shock white and it had these really intricate flowery designs all. It looked like a work of art kind of thing. And it was just her prosthetic leg.
I would get one that looked like a giant penis.
Dick leg.
Yes. Because everybody would talk about you and they couldn't like kick you out of a store for it.
No, you just have a peg leg as you go peg people. Oh, God.
Give us another topic.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. What is your favorite day of the year? These are some random questions.
My favorite day of the year is Halloween. I just love Halloween.
My favorite day of the year.
How great is it? Real quick, Baron comes into a stream and everybody calls him a cunt, and it's like he's cool with it, which is great. But yeah. I want to be known for something like that. I want to come in and everybody go, "Hey, that asshole's here."
Norm. I come in, I get scribbles a lot, or hi Scribe, which I appreciate. But I also, like you just said, that I appreciate the fact that it's such a nice feeling to know that you can use insults as a term of endearment and everybody's cool with it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's sort of like this microcosm of what I wish the just society in general would be. Just like, lighten up, for God's sakes.
Baring asks how I know he's not crying. I imagine you haven't cried since like birth. You came out telling everybody to go fuck themselves.
I didn't know there was actually moisture in Australia. So I don't think he can cry.
Yeah, I didn't think Australians do cry at all. I get all of my knowledge from them, from Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah, exactly. You take that boomerang and you tie it to a string, you swing it over your head a few times, and then like it calls the bad guys to you.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's how it works. It's like a portable didgeridoo. That's not a didgeridoo.
I didn't mean to interrupt that, but you were.
Oh no, there was some really deep stuff. Yeah, no.
Favorite day of the year.
Yeah, my favorite day of the year. Probably my birthday, I guess. I mean, it's sort of a bittersweet kind of thing because on the one hand, it's like, oh boy, today's my day to be special, and then oh boy, I'm old.
Right? Are you one of those people who pretends you don't actually like the attention?
It's more like I'm surprised if I get any.
Oh, gotcha.
So
your life makes me sad.
Yeah, it does for me too. Let's see what else we got next. Okay. What was the last thing you bought? A bag of peeled carrots for a snack because I'm trying to eat healthier.
Yeah, now your life really is making me sad.
Yeah, I'm sorry. What was the last thing you bought?
Shit. I don't get to go out much.
If we're talking significance, I bought my new computer recently. It was like the biggest purchase I've had in a couple of years, and I needed to get a new one. So I got like a Alienware super duper computer. Since now I'm making videos, I figured I should get a little bit extra horsepower in the deal.
The last thing I bought for me is a Hot Wheels that is the Batmobile from the 60s television show.
Okay.
I never had one of those as a kid, and I always wanted one, and There was a
Nice.
big bin of different Batmobiles, and so I bought me one. So I spent 94 cents on myself, guys.
I was just about to ask you a question I asked you the other day, and I was like, oh yeah, the answer is King Tut.
Oh yeah, weirdest villain.
I was like, what's your favorite villain out of the old 60s? Yes, King Tut. Okay. No, I'm not going to do that one. That would be like a doxing thing. What would you? What would you do if you couldn't use the internet or watch TV for a month?
Oh, probably
Yeah,
masturbate furiously.
yeah. I would probably end up going to my closet, getting out my box full of action figures, and regressing back to my 12-year-old self, where I'd make up stories using my action figures.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
I love playing with Legos still. It's one of the greatest things about having kids is that you get to play with toys that you're as an adult not really supposed to anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but Legos, love them. I would read. I like to read. Masturbate without the internet. Yes. Way back in the day, we had to use our imagination if we couldn't get a hold of porn, but we
I've
still
got.
did it.
I still have like an old combination suitcase full of porn I took from home when I was younger. So if I really need to, I can fall back on that.
Monkey masturbates
Let's.
furiously. Who knew? You have to masturbate furiously. You can't do
Just
that, gentle. It's not going to work.
well, yeah. I mean, after this many years, there's just too much callus there. You got to work it hard. Or you're not going to feel
Yeah.
anything. Yeah. Let's see. What was your least favorite subject in school?
Oh, God. Spelling. I suck at spelling.
I wasn't I've never been a fan of math. I mean, the higher level math stuff. I got as far as geometry and algebra, and I was just like, I don't want to have to do any other kind of math. No trig, no calculus. Keep me away from all that shit. And I've avoided it.
My mind just makes connections for math. And this is an
Mm-hmm.
absolutely true story. In 11th grade, I went to my Algebra 2 class only to take tests. And I couldn't tell you how I did it, but I would get the highest score in the class, which
Hmm.
really pissed off this little Asian girl. She used to hate me. She'd actually cuss at me over it. But it's not that my mind just makes the connections well. So it's not a subject I enjoy, but it's one I'm good at. I always liked history. History was my
Yeah.
favorite.
I learned. That's a weird thing to say. Um, I learned that my performance in a particular subject, even a subject I don't like, is highly dependent on the quality of the person teaching me. Because
Mm,
I had lousy math teachers, and I just couldn't get into it. And then I had a really good math teacher, and I aced algebra. I had a really good anthropology teacher, and I aced anthropology, and I learned a lot in the process too. So, but those teachers were very few and far between, unfortunately. So my experience with public education was relatively mediocre, and it didn't instill in me quite all that much confidence in my actual abilities by the time I had to move on to higher education, because I thought I am being lulled into a false sense of security, save for a couple of teachers that actually challenged me. Because college had always been built up in my head as like this solid rock of intellectual challenge or something, as compared to the rest of the world. It wasn't. It was high school too, but that,
yeah.
but that didn't make me feel any better either. So
What else we got?
okay, next we have no, that's stupid. No, I can't do that one. That's another doxing kind of thing. No, we just had that one. Come on. Oh,
Fucking things
okay.
trying to dox me.
Oh, it's
What
like asking you like where did you like where did your name come from, or
did
like
Christy Winters write this site?
yeah, that would be funny. It's like, yeah, just out yourself. Do you believe in love at first sight?
No, I believe in lust at first sight.
Oh yeah.
Love at first sight is a woman idea.
Um, I believe that it exists because I know people on both sides of the gender equation who have people that I trust that I don't think are bullshitting me, that have told me their experiences. Some of my family members and things that the first time they saw the person, they knew exactly who they were and that they were meant to be together, and then they ended up being married for 60 years and still being happy with each other. So I know
See,
it can happen, but it hasn't happened for me. I believe in true love,
oh yeah.
love at first sight. It hasn't happened for me. I don't want to say that it doesn't exist.
See, in those situations, I don't think it's actually love at first sight. I think it's chemistry thing where they get along well. But
Mm-hmm.
what makes it last is not that initial, hey, we're at it.
Mm.
In my case with my wife, we actually hated each other when we first met.
Okay.
Um, I was a arrogant jackass, which is an absolutely fair assessment of me.
Mm-hmm.
And she thought I was an asshole, and I barely paid any attention to her.
Yeah.
My girlfriend at the time introduced us, and I was whatever was in my mind was more important than this girl that I just met. And
Mm-hmm.
we actually started sitting together at lunch, and that's where we actually hit it off. But yeah,
Ah.
we disliked each other at first sight.
Somebody up there, Scotch McGinnis asked if you would debate Sargon of Akkad. I don't even know what you'd debate him about, but
If we had a disagreement, absolutely,
yeah,
I
sure.
will debate anybody. I like to
I
argue.
I almost well, I was potentially going to be moderating a debate between a super duper communist and a super duper capitalist.
Oh,
A bunch of people in a chat were like trying to figure out how to stage this debate, and they're like, "Hey, Scribe, you're you're kind of a calm individual, right?" And I'm like, yeah, yeah, you're pretty even keeled. You could do this. Like, sure, I could try. I'd love to try. It didn't end up happening. I think somebody backed out, but
it was funny the other night when you were. I don't even remember what movie it was, but you got a little animated about a movie, and it's the first time I really heard you get animated.
oh God, I think I know which I can remember becoming so. I don't remember what it was off the top of my head. I'm sure maybe somebody in the chat will. I can list to it. I I tend to get passionate about things that don't matter because they're safe. Because they're safe. I mean, it's like if it's something that's completely opinion based and it's something completely on unimportant things where like I could give you my opinion on Obamacare, right? And then somebody could swoop in and say, "Well, wait a second, you've got that fact wrong or something else." When it comes to movies, the movie is the movie. There's not any way which way to go about it. Somebody could like come at me and say, "Well, you misunderstood this plot point or something." Yeah, okay, but usually it's not. Most movies aren't quite that nuanced. So when it comes to movies or comic books or comic book characters or things like that, I feel no restraint in just going completely off the rails, especially if I think I'm right.
Since we have Bearing in here, let me get your thought on this. What do you think of the social justice warriors bullshit about? And sorry, I'm poisoning the well there, but
Hmm.
their bullshit about a creator being responsible for their audience.
Oh, um, well, on its face, it is a ridiculous charge or complaint to make. I mean, uh, you know, how can I put this? A unless you are going, I mean, obviously there are content creators or YouTubers or whatever that have loyal fan bases. And sort of like John Oliver telling everybody to contact the FCC to tell them not to do X, Y, and Z, if you are pointedly inciting people to do something, then you bear, no pun intended, responsibility for the actions of those who may listen to you that you know you may have some sway over, especially if you're getting them to be activist about something.
See, I would agree with that. If I were to tell
Yes.
my audience to go to somebody's page and be mean,
Right.
then absolutely I deserve that. I
Yes.
deserve credit for it.
And there's also there's the direct incitement, and then there's of course the who shall rid me of this meddlesome priest kind of thing,
Hmm.
where it's not like you're not saying to do something, but you're just kind of like, I wish that blah blah blah.
The
There are
funny
people,
part to
yeah.
me is that they've never seemed to understand with they have heaped loads of fucking hate onto Bearing,
Hmm.
and not one of them has put it in their mind that if what he does is bad, then what they do is just as bad.
Right. I mean, so if for every nasty comment on a bearing video from someone who just watched a SJW video complaining about bearing, how much responsibility do they carry for that happening? You
Yeah.
can't. You I mean, see. I'm a extremely huge proponent of personal responsibility, and just because somebody tells you to go jump off a bridge, If you go jump off a bridge, you went and jumped off a bridge. I
Yes,
mean, you
thank
weren't
you.
you were not mind controlled. You were not, and if you were, if you are such a lemming, then any consequences you get for having done something stupid at someone else's word, I have no sympathy. Because, you know, if you've abandoned your personal critical faculties in favor of mortgaging over your free will to some other personality, you're the idiot, not
Yeah,
them.
exactly. Fucking thank you. This is why I like talking to you. Give us another topic here.
Okay. Random talk, but number
Sam's
32.
disappointed.
Why is Sam
Sam, why are
disappointed?
you disappointed?
We
Well, at
want to
least she's
make
not asking us for tips on how to kill people tonight.
we want to make Sam happy because she's pretty. I mean,
Badge privilege.
that's our only motivation. Please, Sam, tell us how we can make you happy. Please, please. Um, what do you usually eat in the morning, pussy? Oh wait,
That was our first topic.
I know, right?
I don't have. I'm not a big fan of breakfast food at breakfast time. It's too heavy for me. I typically will eat whatever's left over from dinner the night before.
Oh, do you like pineapple on pizza? Okay, I did a video, a very brief 1 minute 9 second video
I did, and
describing
you were wrong.
my what
Pineapple does
what
go on pizza. It's
I
fine.
no I didn't say pineapple didn't go on pizza. I said that pizza was cultural appropriation. I said that pineapple's cultural appropriation. If you put the two together, it's evil. You should just stay away from both and save yourself the danger of being a racist.
But see, that's taking a stand against it. No, I
Yeah,
only really like it if it's a Hawaiian pizza, specifically ham and pineapple.
yeah,
Um, I like a sweet sauce on my pizza anyway, so
yeah. I've always liked pineapple. I don't mind pineapple on pizza. It's not my first go to topping, but it's not something that I like rabidly avoid or something if I have the opportunity.
I can't believe how many people have such strong feelings on it.
I don't understand the strong feelings. I can understand having a preference. I don't understand making it like fight worthy. And I understand that some of this is sort of
Oh, absolutely,
melodramatized. Oh,
but
sure, but yeah, but I mean, but I know some people who are, you know, like I got all heated over a movie or something the other night. I have a couple. There's a couple people I know who get like you don't like Goodfellas kind of angry
oh
at
yeah.
people about pineapple. Yeah.
Somebody asked earlier what my opinion is on roaming millennial these days.
Mm.
Same as it's always been. I thought that video she did with Milo was shit, but otherwise, I don't have much of a problem with what she says. I'm not the hugest fan because um, she's almost too nice, and in my experience, you don't change people's minds by pussyfooting around. I've never seen that happen. Not saying it doesn't, but in my personal experience, you get further by being not necessarily an asshole about it, but being firm.
Yeah. If you, I mean, I appreciate someone who is open to having their mind changed, but someone who is just dancing around trying to play it safe all the time. I mean, if you don't know the answer to something or you don't have an answer to something, just say you don't. I mean, you know, set up the barriers for where you stand on a subject very clearly, so you don't have to start, like you say, pussyfooting around. Um, and if you're not sure about something, or you say, "Well, this is my opinion based on X, Y, and Z," just say it plainly. I mean, there's this myth that unless you are like unless you're like George Bush levels of certitude in the face of facts to the contrary, that you're somehow weak. That
Mm,
that uncertainty is weakness. That doubt or not knowing something is like some kind of intellectual flaw, and it's not. I mean, it's just honesty. I mean, I like I said before, I know fuck all about economics. If I tried to have a conversation with somebody who knew what they were talking about, I'd be dead in 3 seconds. I wouldn't know what I was talking about. So I just stay away from that kind of stuff. I know enough about economics just to be dangerous, you know. So,
right.
but yeah,
The best part about that whole roaming millennial thing is that it maybe a week or two after that she went on to a live stream with Angry MGTOW,
mm-hmm.
and she did not follow any of her advice. She was combative. She was just it was awesome to watch. I enjoyed her performance in it, but she didn't follow any of her fucking advice, which made me just smile. So give us another topic here.
What is the last dream you remember?
Oh God, I don't have very many dreams anymore. Um, I'm gonna have to pass on that. It's been so long since I remember one.
Have you ever had a lucid dream? Do you know what a
Not
lucid dream is?
not really.
Okay.
Um, except coming out of anesthesia.
I've had, as far as I can recall, I've had three lucid dreams. And for anybody who doesn't know, a lucid dream is essentially one in which you know it's a dream and you can take control of it. Like you're conscious of it being a dream and you have some autonomy. You're not just like writing the script of whatever your imagination is doing. And I in fact did not have sex with every possible woman I could think of at the time,
See,
although
that's a
that did
waste.
that yeah, well, there was part of that in there, but actually I have a reoccurring dream. I have this reoccurring dream that is just so real, that it almost feels like a memory of something that actually happened. And what it is it's not flying. You know, there's like I'm flying in a dream or something.
Mhm.
It's like controlled jumping. It's like gravity around me has lessened, and I jump like really far, and I can come back down. And then at some point in the dream, I push a bit too far, and I just go completely off, and I get like fear of heights
Oh,
sensation, and then I wake up.
nice.
And yes, I've had that many times.
Somebody asked my take on the trans bathroom mess. Here's my opinion
Oh, okay.
on that. Trans people who actually are trans have been using the bathroom of their choice forever. The only reason this became an issue is because there was this case where a kid wanted to use the opposite bathroom of their natural gender um, in school, and the school told him no, and that's where this all came from.
Right.
We don't need laws for it. The only reason to protect it legally like that would be so that a guy can run around in a woman's bathroom with his dick hanging out. Um, use the bathroom for the sex you look like, and most people aren't even going to pay any attention.
Yeah.
It's way overblown and just needs to stop.
It always came across to me as a solution to a problem that didn't exist.
Yeah. Well, if you look at the uh, Milo Yiannopoulos supposedly doxed some guy, and what it
Right.
was is that in a speech he put the guy's picture up on a screen. It was at the University of Wisconsin in Madison,
Mm-hmm.
and the reason he did that is because that kid had used Title IX to allow himself into women's bathrooms and women's changing rooms.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that whole thing even came up is because he was sitting in the women's steam room with his dick hanging out, and a faculty member told him he probably didn't belong in there.
Yeah.
That kid isn't trans. He wants to have his dick out in front of women.
Mm-hmm.
He's he is a sexual predator that needs to be stopped. He's what feminists are always whining about, saying all men are.
Mm-hmm. I yeah, it it's just such a it's a manufactured outrage machine. And now that it's, I mean, it won't go away now. I mean, it's not going to go anywhere. It wasn't a problem. I try to imagine some of these scenarios they're talking about. Like, I've been oppressed because I couldn't go to the bathroom of my choice, and I just thought, if you're actually transgender and you can actually pass, nobody's going to notice.
Exactly.
And here's the thing: if you're a man who's transitioned to a woman, you're going to be in a stall. No one will know what's going on. If you're a woman that's transitioned to a man, go to a stall. Nobody's looking at you anyway.
Yeah,
It's
it's not
just
like
like,
we're talking about putting cops outside the door to check your junk before you go in.
yeah, and nobody was doing that in the first place. And so it's just like it's one of those much ado about nothing. But of course, because it deals with, you know, gender, and it's so taboo for a lot of people, the idea of a man becoming a woman or a woman becoming a man and all this stuff. It's never going to go away. It's going to be a point of contention forever, and it's a waste of everybody's time. It just really is.
Okay, you take on legal weed.
I think it should be legalized. I mean, you think about, I mean, heroin is legal in what, like Amsterdam or something. You go to the pharmacist and they give you a very controlled supply.
Ugh.
and it's clean. There's no dirty needles or nothing, and it's like, well, this is just you have an addiction, and we'll facilitate it in the safest way possible.
Right.
But that's of course a bit hard. Marijuana is right on the same level to me as alcohol. I don't see why it isn't just legalized and taxed the same. As far as I hear, where is it, like Colorado and was it Oregon or Washington where
I
it's
want to say it was
legalized?
Oregon was the other one. It could
Yeah.
have been
Anyway,
Washington.
yeah. The bits and pieces I hear is that it's making buco bucks in tax revenue.
Oh, it would,
And
yeah.
so far as I know, I guess somebody else would have to look it up. Have crime rates gone up since pot was legalized in those states?
I don't know that
Um,
the crime stats have come out,
hmm,
comprehensive ones since they passed it.
yeah,
My take is absolutely legalize it. It's to me no real different than alcohol, except that I've met a lot of alcoholics that I don't want to be around ever,
yeah.
and I've never met an angry pothead. They
I,
just don't get,
I've met some
violent.
obnoxious potheads, but yeah,
Obnoxious is different,
yeah,
but those people are usually jackasses to begin with.
it's true. It just enhances the sensation. But yeah, since I haven't heard that Colorado's burning down to the ground because of all the insanity that's taken place because of reefer madness, I figure we're probably in safe territory. So I'm really curious because I know that a couple of states have outright legalized recreational use. Many states have legalized medical use, if not edging towards recreational. If and I remember hearing on the radio about this because they were talking about it just this morning. There was some poll, and of course you can well, believe polls or otherwise, but there was some poll that said 70% of the American population are in favor of the legalization of recreational marijuana. And I thought,
Hmm.
well, let's say that's true. Could the Trump administration get away with going against 70% of the population, a lot of which is probably libertarian slash conservatives that would be on Trump's side kind of thing?
I was surprised with the whole Trump marijuana thing.
Mm-hmm.
I some dumb Americans video on it. She mentioned that it looked to her like a nod to the religious right, and I would probably agree with that. And
Well, Jeff Sessions has been a super duper anti-drug warrior for
mhm,
decades. So I think this is his personal pet project, and I don't think Trump's in a position to tell him no.
I don't know what just happened in the chat, but
No.
Baring's response there, LOL, you're a professional. Write that shit down and we'll get some skank to record it. That is an awesome sentence.
Yeah.
We'll get some skank to record it.
I need some context with that one.
Me too, but my fucking chat screws up if I try
I
to look
can,
back.
yeah,
Um
it's a bunch of wall of text to me anyway.
with Sessions, he's pretty much on your religious right anyway.
Yeah.
Um and this is going to happen with a lot of things in the Trump administration because he is not a politician and he's filling those positions with career politicians.
Right.
So if you guys are against this kind of stuff, speak out.
Yes.
That's what you can do.
Yeah.
Did you see Steve Shive's video he released like 2 hours ago?
No, I didn't.
Oh my God. I'm actually going to do a response to it.
Okay.
He's talking about how people who voted for Trump are realizing their mistake and fuck them. Fuck them. He doesn't want them. They can go fuck themselves. He brings up Caitlyn Jenner and then he names, or he doesn't name him. He just talks about some YouTuber. If anybody knows what YouTuber that fucking idiot was talking about, please let me know. But some YouTuber who's pro pot, who's now against Trump because of this. And here's what I'm going to tell you guys. It is still possible to think Trump was a better candidate than Hillary and think a lot of what he's doing is stupid.
Yes. Yeah, it's the Taco Bell thing. Why not both? It's the same thing.
Yeah.
I didn't vote in the presidential
Oh,
for two
thank you,
different.
Cyberpunk. He said it was The Amazing Atheist. So I'll definitely look
AJ,
into
okay.
it. But go ahead. I'm
TJ.
sorry.
I didn't vote in the presidential because I disliked both candidates for completely different reasons. Hillary, I didn't like for a lot of reasons up until the point where it became obvious that she cheated in order to win the primaries.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
And at that point, my decision was made. Well, I'm not voting for Hillary because I don't want to reward a cheater. If she had any integrity whatsoever, as soon as it was discovered, that she had been fed the questions or anything else. She should have stood up and said, I can't participate because I've been fed the questions. That would have been a mark in her favor. It wasn't about her health. It wasn't about her gender. It was about her record or lack thereof when she was a senator. And then the fact that she cheated. For Trump, he's a human cartoon.
Yeah,
I couldn't look at this guy and think, okay, yes, he's entertaining. I don't want an entertainer in the White House. He's not professionally. I'm not talking about like he's not a professional person. I'm saying that when it comes to envisioning him as the president of the United States, that is not the kind of person I would want representing my country.
I can see that. For me, I mean, it goes back to, original intent. The president never, we should be able to have a cartoon president.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, that's not where we are.
No.
So,
Let me clarify. It's not a matter of he shouldn't have been elected president,
oh no,
or that
okay.
he shouldn't have been allowed to, or something. I'm just saying that from my perspective, he's not he's not representative of what I would want in a president. Now, but I also lean back on the old John Wayne quote. I didn't vote for him, but he's my president, and I hope he does well. And I still hope he does well. I hope that all the kinks that he's got in his first 100 days get nailed out, and that I fingers crossed, even though I think it's probably true, he's being pulled by his strings are being pulled by people who know how to play the political game, and he's just turning more and more into a figurehead.
Yeah, I can see that happening, and I hope it doesn't. But
Right.
especially one, this whole first 100 days thing only became popular under Clinton.
Yeah.
Before that, nobody gave a fuck. It was you just, the president did his thing, and time went on, and we've actually put way too much emphasis on that 100 days, and it
Was
leads to
the
really stupid shit happening really fast.
I did did any of that was any of that enhanced by the whole contract with America thing that Gingrich put out when they was
Um,
it's like here's the list of things that we
no,
are going to do kind of deal, and here in the time frame that we have. Was that it?
no, it was
No.
because when Clinton was young, which is really unusual for a president, and so dynamic, and it was this push to get so many great things done,
Right.
and it ended up actually blowing up in his face. That's where the contract from America comes in.
Yeah.
But no, it started before that.
Yeah. Well, after 12 years of Republican rule, it was probably, sort of like liberating to say, well, here we are now. We're going to make some changes, and then.
Well, this is another thing people forget.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't for Ross Perot, Bill Clinton probably wouldn't have been elected.
Oh no! Oh, not at all! Oh God, Ross Perot handed him the presidency. Not that Bush would have probably won by any great margins if Perot hadn't been there,
No,
but
but
yeah.
definitely he pulled from the Republican side there.
Oh yes, yeah. Texas billionaire and all his sort of. Let me tell you something. It's
Oh
just
God, I miss Perot.
I loved his little fireside chats with his charts and his little
Yes,
things. It was amazing. It was like, God, this is the kind of thing I want to see. This is the kind of thing I would love. Even now, I'd love to have a president like. And Trump is kind of doing that with Twitter, although it's kind of a circus,
not as
but
refined.
not as refined. But if the president had like these regular sort of just like one-on-one sort of like, hey everybody, here's what's going on. Not keeping anything from you. This is what we're up to. This is what we're planning on doing, and not be too secret about it. Okay. On to
Give us
something
another
else.
topic.
Okay. What is the biggest physical challenge that you have ever faced?
Oh, what I'm going through now.
Yeah, I figured that might be it.
Before that, I actually ran the Marine obstacle course once.
Mm.
Dad was in the Navy, so get on the base, and a friend of mine who was actually going into the Marines, he's like, "Here, come run this with me," and I made it, but I felt like I was gonna die. Those guys are badass,
Oh yeah.
and this is when I was 16 and in really good shape.
Biggest physical challenge. Well, I it wasn't so much like some kind of test of endurance or anything. When I was in seventh grade, I was in martial arts, and I was the tiny little kid compared to everybody else, and we had this one session where he had like a little mini heavy bag, and the deal was you had to go over, wrap your hands around, and do sort of like a throw where you had to like turn the thing over and like knock it on its head. And so I everybody went over. They'd squat down. They'd wrap their arms around it with this, sort of hand on each wrist, sort of hold, grip it, and then turn, and then flop it on the side, and then the next guy would come up. So I go up to do it, wrap my arms around it, I lift, and suddenly my arm gives out, and the thing drops to the ground. I'm like, what the hell was that? And my teacher's like, pick it up. I'm like, okay. So I reach down, wrap my arms around it, lift, bump. My arm just suddenly doesn't operate. What had happened is that my shoulder dislocated,
Oh,
and the muscles and tendons around it just snapped it right back into place as soon as the weight was off. And I didn't realize it. And it was the pain didn't come until a couple hours later. And I couldn't push a door open for a month. I couldn't put any kind of weight or pressure on that hand or on that arm, or the thing would pop out again and rip all the healing that had happened. So I was in agony for a month, and I have had it repop out 2 times since then. The most comical being when I tried to lift my girlfriend at the time.
oh, nice.
And I was trying to be playful slash romantic, and the angle that I lifted her, and maybe she just was a little bit outside my weight class at the time. And yeah, that was bad. Oh, that was bad.
Oh, okay. So I used the original blog generator we were looking for.
Okay.
Put in dirty words.
Uh-oh.
So we have why we love bitch, and you should too. I think my favorite one is this one: 7 things about cunt your boss wants to know.
Well, ask Bering.
What will whore be like in 100 years?
Robotic.
Nice. MGTOW. How to solve the biggest problems with bitch, and 10 signs you should invest in cunt.
Well, see, how to solve the biggest problems with bitch. Well, bitching
Diamonds.
Bitching gets things done.
Bitches like jewelry.
Yeah, bitches like Julie, but also bitching will motivate people to do whatever the hell it is to make you stop bitching.
True.
Sometimes it depends. It depends if you have some people don't put up with that kind of shit. I don't, but some people do, because obviously we have feminism.
What will whore be like in 100 years? I actually hope they legalize. Yeah,
That's year 2000.
I hope they legalize prostitution. I really do.
Oh man, that's between marijuana and prostitution. I have had friends who were essentially escorts. Let's just
Oh,
put it
okay.
that way, and not because they didn't have options, but because they genuinely enjoyed the experience, the socialization of it, the sort of glamour of some of it, and even just like having sex. And there wasn't anything, at least from the people I knew, there wasn't anything unseemly about it or dangerous. I mean, it was dangerous for them because they were doing something illegal. And I don't have any rose-colored glasses on to say that everybody's in that situation, but
Well, I think a big problem here in America is when you think of prostitution, you have 2 basic ideas you get. You get the real high-class call girl, or you get the nasty crack whore.
yeah,
And there's levels, and part of the reason we have the nasty crack whore is because of the laws we have against prostitution.
mm-hmm.
I can't remember which HBO horror special it was. They've done several, but there was this one chick who had like no teeth on top, and her husband was actually her pimp, which meant that while she was fucking somebody, he'd be playing Game Boy.
Oh God,
It's probably the worst thing I've seen.
oh
Yeah, he'd be sitting there playing Game Boy while his wife is giving somebody a blowjob.
Jesus.
Yeah, that needs to stop. And legalizing it. Every time I've had this argument with people, I've mentioned it once on a video. Everybody's like, "Oh, it's just going to make the human sex trafficking trade worse." Like, that's not how laws work.
Yeah,
When you legalize something, people can do it without having to sneak.
right.
You kill that part of it. It's not going to kill it completely. You're not
No.
going to get rid of the. There's still people who bootleg alcohol.
Yep.
But it's not the problem that it was during Prohibition.
Oh yeah. And same thing with marijuana. I mean, as soon as you legalize it, the black market goes kaplooey just because of basic economics.
Yeah.
And as far as prostitution is concerned, well, I always think about it like this: if I call to have a house call by a masseuse, why is that any different ultimately than a prostitute?
Well, for me, it always comes back to the abortion debate where it's, it's my body.
Mm-hmm.
And in the abortion debate, we're not getting into that.
No.
Um, there's another, whether you want to call it a mass of cells, a baby, whatever you call it, there is something else there.
Yes.
With prostitution, it is literally just your body.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not reading your fan fiction. It was gay. And I don't mean that as in it was bad. I mean, it was actually gay.
Please read my fan fiction on. No.
Yeah, if you read back, yeah, there was you and I were getting into some horrible stuff.
Oh, we were.
Yeah, we were. Yeah.
Oh,
Um.
I haven't paying to the attention to the chat as much as I should have, I guess.
Yeah, you're right about this site. If
Yeah,
you type in stuff, they come up pretty much the same.
yeah, exactly. That's why this random generator one. Now let's see. No, that's stupid. No, that's stupid too. We kind of talked about this, but I guess it's more specific. What is your biggest pet peeve?
Oh, I have so many. It depends on where you're at, what you're talking about. Like if somebody gets in my personal space, I
Yeah.
can't take that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, the
Your
history
safe
of
space.
honky. Was using the other one again. I don't like anybody in my bubble, which for me would be my hands extended and making a circle outwards with the
Mm.
two. That's my personal space. Don't get in there unless you're my child or my wife.
Yeah.
That's me. Other than that, people who try too hard. You see that a lot with social media. People are trying way too hard to be edgy or
Mm-hmm.
trying way too hard to be smarter than they actually are.
Right.
Be yourself. Don't try so hard.
I kind of have two competing ones. One is someone, if you're not punctual and you don't let somebody know why. Like if I'm expecting
Mm,
you to show up at like XYZ hour and you don't, and you don't tell me, like my first thought is, well, something must have happened. And then I try to contact you and then you're not contacting me back. If you're going to be late, just tell me you're going to be late. If you don't tell me you're going to be late and I'm sitting there like an idiot, just waiting for who knows what, I hate that.
yeah,
I mean, shit
I can see that.
happens. Yeah, shit happens. Let me know. But otherwise, the other thing is drivers who don't pay attention to pedestrians.
Mm,
I walk a lot. I don't have to drive much I get to walk to work and a bunch of other things. So um I cannot stand people who don't look right when they're about to make a right turn because they're looking left and waiting for traffic to go by. I hate people on their cell phones, and exceedingly hate people who cut me off and then they like see me at the last second after they've already made their turn and kind of look and wave and smile. Like, you should not be smiling. You should be ashamed of yourself.
yeah,
Because if that had gone just 3 feet in the other direction, there's only one of us that would have been hurt, and it wouldn't have been you. And I hate that stuff.
one of my biggest annoyances driving, talking about people using their cell phone. I used to have to drive an hour each way to work.
Mm-hmm.
And this one day, this fucking asshole he would go around me and then slow way down. And then I'd have to go around him. And we just did this for like, God, 30 miles. And the one time I look over and this fucking asshole has his phone up. He's texting with his phone in front of his face.
Yeah.
So it's not even like he's trying to hide it.
Right.
Well, about 5 miles later, he's pulled over into the left-hand lane and he's just staying there. And this cop gets onto the highway. And this cop actually has to go around him on the right. He had to pass him on the right, which is illegal, and didn't stop him. And he had his phone up the whole way, just drove right past him and kept going. Like, one, texting and driving like that's illegal. Two, hanging out in the left-hand lane when you're slower than traffic is illegal. And the cop passing on the right is fucking illegal.
Right.
I cannot stand people who text and drive.
Yep. I don't get it either. Yeah, it just drives me up the wall. People just not pay. I mean,
About your first point,
yes.
with people who don't let you know what's going on,
Mm-hmm.
there's no reason for that anymore. Everybody has a fucking cell phone.
Exactly. Exactly. These days, there's no excuse. In the 80s or something, it's like, yeah, you say, I'll be there at 5, and, you figure 20 minutes on either side of that. And that's, just the way it is. But now it's like, if you know you're going to be late, you're going to be late, and the whole world can know you're going to be late in about 3 seconds because of Facebook or Twitter or something else. Just let a guy know, just so he's not like standing outside in the cold waiting. I just hate that.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Uh,
just rude.
let's see. Now I've had that one. This random generator is starting to repeat questions. Um,
Here's something for you. This is a thought I had. It's just a random thought.
sure.
My wife has a bottle of Lubriderm, the hand lotion, and it says on there, developed by dermatologists. And the thought that entered my mind is that doesn't mean they're good dermatologists.
Yeah. Can I see your credentials, please, dermatologist?
Exactly. Just because, and the reason this came up to me is because there's they're talking about tampons in the chat there. There's a tampon, what's it called? OB? I forget, but their selling point is that it was designed by women.
Mm-hmm. As
And
though that means
it's,
something.
yeah, exactly. And the difference between it and a regular tampon, and the reason I know this, guys, is I used to run the health and beauty department at a Walmart a long
Mm-hmm.
time ago. So I'd actually work with these products. A regular tampon has an applicator, and there's just a little cotton bullet looking thing that you got to shove up their drive.
Yes.
And my thought is, okay, yeah, it was developed by a woman, but that's a dumb woman because that has to be fucking horrible. But this idea that just because something was developed by somebody in this industry, or in the case of the woman, because it was a woman, doesn't mean it's a good product. That is
No.
a horrible selling point.
Yeah, it's like our product was developed by accredited scientists. Like, okay, that sounds better. Our product was developed by midgets.
Yeah.
Well, but what does that have to do with it? Nothing. It just was. And if you don't buy it, you're a racist. Well, what? No. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I that when I saw that on the bottle, that hit my mind, and I'm like, what if that was I mean, just because he was a dermatologist, he could be the worst dermatologist on the planet.
Right. He could be like Hannibal Lecter, Buffalo Bill, or something. He's a dermatologist. Yeah.
Yeah,
He he
somebody
work, he,
could
work,
go.
he works with skin all the time.
Yeah, somebody could go to him looking, just a little dry skin, and come out looking like a burn victim. Just because he has the degree doesn't mean he's any fucking good.
Oh man, God, what was it? There was a series. I think it's still going. It's called American Greed on like CBC or something, or CNBC,
Hmm.
and it's narrated by Stacy Keach, and it's awesome. And it's all about like white collar fraud and things like that. And some of the stories they profile are like quack doctors. And there was this guy who was a mortician, and he would be harvesting bones and tissue from people that came through his mortuary and selling them to like biological research firms, and then replacing the bones inside the corpses with like PVC pipe,
Oh wow.
and then having them buried with like their limbs effectively missing but now replaced with like artificial bones and like being stapled together and shit. And it was the creepiest thing. And I just thought, that is, and they showed like an X-ray they did of like one of the corpses, when you can see like the elbow joints of the PVC pipe inside the guy where the hip should be. I was just like,
Oh,
oh God.
I remember there
Uh,
was the I don't remember where it was, but the one
are you going to talk
mortician,
about?
they were
Are
supposed
you
to,
talk,
to take care of bodies
and they
properly.
left him out in the backyard.
Yeah, just threw him out
Yeah,
back.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, you're supposed to save on the crematorium fuel and everything else. You just burn wood and leave all the bodies like laid out, stacked up in the backyard.
And there's a fundamental truth of the whole fool and their money will soon be parted.
Mm-hmm.
I have always thought that, like with the survivalists, that I could sell them dehydrated water
Yeah.
because they're just so. I, I know it's wrong, which is why I don't do it. But it would be so easy to take advantage of people.
Mm-hmm. The smartest um, and funniest little entrepreneur story I heard in the last few years was when like smartphones and everything were first really coming into the fore. Some guy got the brilliant idea, and I guess nobody had thought about it at that point, of like digitizing the text of the Bible into
Oh,
like
okay.
just a downloadable app thing. You just pay like 99 cents and here's your copy of the Bible. And like all the different versions and translated in all the languages and all this other stuff. And he was like the first one to the market and he just like made buco bucks on this thing. And then they did an interview with the guy or something somewhere. And they're like, "So do you believe in God?" He's like, "No, I'm an atheist."
Yeah, yeah.
And everybody who was both like they got all up in arms, like, how dare you sell this stuff and you're an atheist? So like, you bought it and it's the oldest book on the planet. What do you want?
What were you old enough to be aware of the whole Milli Vanilli situation?
Oh yes, blame it on
Here,
the rain, dude.
blame it. Oh God, yeah, I love that
I
song. You're gonna
remember
make me sing. Stop that shit.
I saw live on it was the Today Show where they had the actual singers come out and demonstrate how they were
Oh,
the real singers and blow it all out of the water. And I was so it was so hilarious because I mean because you look back at the footage of them winning their award, they're like, what the fuck are we doing here?
yes. For me though, I was always curious about that because Milli Vanilli, when that blew up,
Mm-hmm.
all of the record stores and the whoever their label was offered refunds for the cassettes.
Mm,
And I thought, okay, who bought this because of the two black guys rather than the songs that are being sung?
right.
I, I didn't turn in my Milli Vanilli tape because I liked the music. I didn't give a fuck who was singing it.
Well, yeah, but I mean, if they're appearing on the cover, it's false advertising. So, I mean, on a technical level, and also it's just good PR. I mean, what else are you going to do at that point with that kind of scandal? It's like you're
And
not going to give your money back.
I get it from the business perspective, but the
Hmm.
people who turned in their copies, fuck
Yeah,
you.
I know. Yeah,
Fuck you.
it's stupid. Um, gosh, I always like those stories, like those scandal stories, those frauds and those hoaxes. There's something about those kind of stories that always, like Stephen Glass. You remember Stephen Glass from the New Republic, who
Hmm.
wrote all those fake stories and got caught. And there's a couple others that are like that. There's something about those things just really fascinate me.
Well, it's amazing how easy it is to fool people.
Mm-hmm.
One of the saddest things I ever experienced was do you know what a 419 scan is? It's the Nigerian things that you get
Yes.
in your email.
Yes.
When I worked at Walmart, for part of it, I worked the front end. I was over the entire thing. So anytime there was a problem up at the service desk, I would get called up there. And probably once every 3 or 4 months, I would get called up there because there would be some old guy who's trying to send $500 to Nigeria,
Oh
and
yeah.
they have a policy we don't do that. Period.
Right.
And they would get so mad at you because they got this promise of riches,
Sure.
and having to tell them no. There was one time we actually had to call the police to get the guy removed,
Mm.
because you can fucking, people are dumb, and it's
Well,
not
yeah.
just that they want to believe so bad.
Yes. There's also my grandmother. She was fooled by somebody into thinking that her grandson, not me, but one of the other ones, was in jail, and she needed to send X number
Yep.
of dollars to get him out of some Mexican jail or something. And she got all the way to the Western Union office, and thankfully, the person in the Western Union office was like, we should probably call somebody first. And of
Yep.
course, and taking advantage of old people, that's one of the things that just I cannot stand at all. The elderly or the infirm or something, and just like, it's the worst of the worst.
We had one. It's actually part of the Craigslist car scam. In that
Mm.
one, what happens is the person will send you a check, and then they have you wire them some money, and they tell you, you can cash that check like in a week or something like that. And these poor people fell for it, and they came to us to cash that check, and they're not good. And this was a young couple. They had a little baby with them, and it's just fucking heartbreaking. And all we could do in this situation, call the police and tell them to report it, but they never got
Mhm.
anything back. I
Right.
fucking hate those kind of people because they prey on people with dreams,
Yeah.
and that's just dirty. Now, if
Yeah.
you're fucking with somebody who's just stupid, like say a survivalist, I have no problem with that. If you can sell them dehydrated water, more power to you.
You've got standards.
Well, I had a scheme a long time ago, and my friend wouldn't. He convinced me it was probably wrong because I was going to do it.
Hmm.
Um, I have the ultimate stop smoking program that is guaranteed to work if you follow it.
A bullet to the head.
No, I was going to
Oh,
just send them a letter that
yeah.
said, don't light any more cigarettes. Because technically, I would not have been lying.
That's true. That's true.
And yeah, but
That's
apparently
like the
that's a
ad.
little bit
It's like
too
the
on
ad
the
for
point.
the revolutionary coat rack, and they send you a nail.
Yes, yes.
And it's like, and that's a sort of like PT Barnum sort of humbug type deals. It's like, can you really get mad?
Right.
It's one of those things like, yeah, I got duped, but I can't admit that I got duped because yeah, I got duped.
A
It's like,
fool and their money.
exactly. Random question number 72. What is the longest you've stayed awake for?
Um Almost 96 hours and
Okay.
not by choice. And
Mm,
I ended up passing out in a friend's. It was so sad because this was back in high school.
yeah.
I don't sleep well anyway. But yeah, I was coming up on 96 hours and he called me up. I was going to go to bed. And he's like, dude, my sister's having a party. All of her friends are over here. I'm like, I'm there. His sister was hot, but her friends were fucking awesome.
Right.
So I get over there, take my coat off, sit down in a chair, and that's the last thing I remember.
Mm.
I passed out and slept for like 18 hours in that chair.
I intentionally stayed awake for 3.5 some odd days straight, just after I graduated college because I had nothing going on. I had nowhere to be and nothing to do. And I just sort of stayed up late because I could, eating ice cream and watching horror movies. And I realized it was like 6 a.m. and I was like, I'm not tired, so I'm just gonna like not. And then after like a day of not sleeping, I just thought, okay, now I'm gonna see how long I can go. And
Nice.
yeah, I went about 3.5 days, and the world was humming by
Yeah.
the end of it. I mean, it was the weirdest experience, and by the time I finally collapsed, I think I slept for, yeah, something like 18 some odd hours. About half a day or so. Never done it again, but I was never. It's really weird. I couldn't tell whether or not the sleep dep caused me to be funnier, or I just thought I was funnier. Because
Right.
man,
Yeah.
I was on the ball and I was hilarious the whole time.
These days, if I because I tend to go close to 48 hours a lot of times without sleep, I'll start hallucinating.
Yes, I've heard that too.
I didn't during that time. I was busy the whole time, which does make a difference. But yeah, nowadays, if I'll sit here and I swear to God, I saw a little elephant, not an elephant, a woolly mammoth walking across my desk one day. And like, I need fucking sleep.
I've only hallucinated or anything close to it twice. Once was I drank a bad batch of chocolate milk when I was a kid,
Oh,
and I got like food poisoning so bad. So I drank this chocolate milk. I went to bed, and I was so ill, asleep, but half asleep. And I woke up and I was seeing things. I was like seeing like monsters at the circus or something. And then
mm,
I just like threw up for about 10 minutes of just brown stuff into the toilet. And I just never, I've never had chocolate milk since. I can drink hot cocoa. I can have a milkshake, but chocolate milk, I just, for whatever reason, I can't stand it. Can't even stand the thought of it. The other time was I got a horrific ear infection from somebody's hot tub when I was younger,
mm.
and I had to go to the doctor and have like them drain my ear and all sort of crazy shit. And as a result of the vertigo and whatever else was going on in there, yeah, I saw things that just didn't exist, and it was like, I don't know what's going on, mommy, and it was bad. Uh,
Sorry, just going through Twitter. Go ahead. Give us another one.
you know what was funny? I was clicking the generate button a couple times and nothing was happening. I thought, God, did we reach the end of random questions? No.
Nice.
Here we go. How do you think the world will end? In a giant ball of fire when our sun becomes a red giant.
Yep, absolutely.
That's pretty much the definitive end of the world. If you're talking about the end of civilization or life as we know it or something else, I figure major pandemic disease, just like we've had in the past, and somehow we've knock wood, survived or avoided in any great capacity in the last several years. But man, one of these days, the flu is going to mutate into something we don't have a vaccine for.
I think we'll still be fine that way, just because
Yeah.
of how dispersed we are throughout the planet.
Mm,
We might go back to, say, like the Black Plague, where a huge chunk of humanity disappears.
yes.
But the sun is what's going to stop us.
Yes. I mean, well, in billions of years from now, but yeah.
Right, right.
Um, let's see.
Here's a funny story,
Sure.
because that is one of my fears, is being alive for that moment.
Well, guess what? You're not going to be.
Well, it's only going to last for a few seconds, but
It's true.
I'm sitting here one night, and there's just this huge, horrible sound, and I can't even describe it. Just booming, and my first thought was, well, here we go.
Oh, okay.
Turned out some gas line somewhere blew,
Oh,
and what I was hearing was the gas pouring through this small hole, but the whole city could hear it. It was actually heard like up to 5 miles away.
yeah.
But yeah, that was my first thought. Like, man, here we go.
The closest thing I've seen to something like that just like freaked me out because I couldn't explain it. I was maybe like 12 or 13 or something, and there was a lightning storm without thunder. It was just so high up in the atmosphere that there was no sound. So it was just like flashing lights all across the sky beyond the cloud cover,
Mm.
greens and reds and blues and stuff. And I just thought, I thought it was aliens. I didn't know what it was. It was amazing. And I don't remember exactly what the phenomenon was that caused it. It was the only time I'd ever seen it. And yeah, that was a scary few minutes because it was completely out of left field. Yeah.
Yeah, the only other time I've been scared like that, it wasn't actually from me. We were at some store. I don't remember where we were. And this was when my kids were little. When we would go shopping, my wife would lead. I would let the kids, just kind of wander with themselves between me and her. But they were always in my vision. And we're standing at the checkout line, and my son is right next to me, and I have very good peripheral vision. And suddenly I just see him go up and back. And
Okay.
I turned around ready to just fuck somebody up.
Mm.
And it was my dad.
Oh.
He snuck up on his grandchild, picked him up, but my
Yeah.
heart dropped and I was
Yeah.
ready to kill.
Oh, geez.
Like, Dad, don't do that. At least get my attention first.
You're a very, very territorial patriarch.
Yes, very.
Let's see. We've already had that question. Gosh. What's the first thing you notice about a guy/girl?
I don't think there is something I notice about guys.
Yeah.
And that's not, homophobia or anything. I just don't. Unless they have like a really imposing presence,
Right.
I don't pay attention. For women, it depends on if I'm looking at them from the front or the back.
Mhm.
From the back, my eye is immediately drawn to their ass, and
Yep.
on the front, it's their eyes.
Depends on how much cleavage is visible, but yeah.
Oh,
Eyebrows. Eyebrows will. There's something about eyebrows that a well cocked eyebrow can knock me over from across the room if a woman knows what they're doing.
you got to be hating this new trend with eyebrows.
Oh, is there a trend with eyebrows?
Haven't you seen some of them where it looks like they took a big brown marker and
Oh, the painted on ones? No, they've been doing that for years. No, I don't.
not as bad as it is now.
Oh,
So many people.
I must have. I must not pay attention that much to that then, or somehow I'm not drawn to it. Yeah, no, the painted on sort of, or I've seen people with like tattooed eyebrows, and not because they got them burned off in an accident or something, but like they had them tattooed on so they don't have to do makeup anymore.
Yeah, that was I remember seeing stories maybe mid 90s when that started. And I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Just if you have to, trim it a little bit. But that's the same thing with the lip tattoos for lip liner.
Yeah, I've seen those too. It's like I'll have permanent makeup, and it's like, well, what if you don't get tired of the color?
Yeah, or that's got to hurt like fuck.
Do you have any tattoos?
No.
Okay. Oh yeah, I think we've had this conversation before.
That goes back to my whole don't want my body messed up.
Right. I've got 5 small ones.
When I was younger, in my youthful asshole days.
Mm-hmm.
I always wanted a tattoo growing up, and then they became really popular, and I was like,
Mm.
fuck that. I don't want one. Fuck everybody who has one.
Yeah, I was. My tattoos are not the traditional or the sort of stereotypical things. I won't say what they are, but they're small. They're hidden. They're not. They're meant not. They're. I specifically placed them on my body where they are covered up by my everyday clothing. They're not for showing off or like broadcasting or something. It's just for me, little reminders of things, and that's it. Yeah.
Somebody in the chat, the bad thing about being blonde is that my eyebrows are almost transparent. Mine too. The
Yeah.
only time you can really see my eyebrows is if I have a sunburn,
Mm.
and then they just look like this white uh, marking across my eyes.
Right.
I've always joked that one of these days I'm just going to shave them off to see if anybody even notices, because you really can't see them.
I'm gonna try a different topic generators.
I'm going to go through chat, see if anybody has said anything else to.
Yeah, but somebody says something interesting in chat. What?
For the record, guys, we do try to pay attention to chat, but we fail miserably.
Yeah, we're too involved with each other's words. We love each other so much.
That's right.
And according to N, I like face fucking you or something. I think I saw
Nice.
somewhere in there. I was very ambidextrous with whatever I was doing to you or you were doing to me. I forget what it was.
Here's a good one. My take on ghosts.
Ah.
This is one of those places where my logical mind and my imaginative mind clash. Logically, I don't believe in ghosts. But I've had supernatural experiences, which may have just been hallucinations, but I've seen a ghost. Like I said, could be that, but and this goes back, if you think about it really, to the whole religion thing. We have to believe in something. In my mind, I like I said, my logical mind is like, no, that's stupid. But I can't say they don't exist either.
I don't think ghosts as they are the remnants of dead people. If there are ghosts, I think the easiest explanation or the most likely is essentially visitors from the fourth dimension.
Okay.
There's a I mean it's an old Cosmos segment that Carl Sagan did years and years ago where he discusses the dimensions. He goes through like, okay, well, you know, here's flatland, and in flatland you have length and width but no height, and and then suddenly all of a sudden this three-dimensional object appears, and in flatland, since they have no height, as soon as it appears, all they'll see is just the points of contact with this flatland. So he takes out this apple and he puts an apple onto a stamp pad and then stamps it on the table and says, this is what they'd see. They'd see these, you know, four little dots just kind of floating there, even though there's this huge thing they can't see because they just don't have that dimension.
Okay.
So now imagine if this guy tried to land further. Well, then it'd be four dots and then, you know, progressively larger slices of this apple because there cannot be height that exists on this thing. So anyway, the analogy was like, okay, so then just move up one level to the third dimension. Okay, what would it look like to have something from the fourth dimension intrude on our dimension? Just in a mathematical sense.
Right.
What would that look like? And like, oh, I don't know what it looked like, and nobody else does either because nobody's quite sure what the fourth. I mean, they say the fourth dimension is time, and it's like, well, it's not really, you know, it's an artful thing to say, but you know, it's some other kind of measurement of direction that we can't conceive of. So yeah, that's that. If there is an explanation for it beyond it being dead people, that would be where my mind would next go to.
He asked also if we would be willing to spend a night in a haunted house, asylum.
Yeah.
I would, but not alone.
No, not alone.
I have a very active imagination, and
Yeah.
I would be. It is possible to scare yourself to death.
It is, yes.
You will give yourself a heart attack. So I would need somebody else there with me. But yeah, I would do it. Absolutely.
And there are some, if you really want, there are some crazy live streams that go up just about every day of I forget, there's a channel that does it all the time where They just live stream them doing Ouija board stuff in a haunted house or spending the
Hmm.
night or trying to contact ghosts. You can watch the stuff live as they try to do this stuff. It's probably the most boring thing I've ever seen, but
Yeah.
you're always sort of like, is something going to happen?
Well,
And I
it's like those
yeah.
shows Ghost Hunters. If you've ever seen
Oh
any of the
yes.
ghost hunting, they
Oh
are
yes.
so overly dramatic.
There was a very short-lived one, and I think I have all the episodes on my hard drive. I don't think you can find them anymore. It was called Extreme Paranormal. And the gimmick was, we're not here to talk to ghosts. We're here to agitate them and make them do something.
Oh,
So they went to this, what was it? They went down to Louisiana and they got all this voodoo stuff, and they got some voodoo priest or something to teach them how to do the worst possible rituals to like piss off ghosts or whatever else, and then they just proceeded to do those things on camera and do like the things that you're not supposed to do. They went to a prison and did a whole bunch of crazy shit that was and
what was the name of this one?
it was called Extreme Paranormal. I think it was on A&E or something, or the Discovery Channel for like
I'll have to see if I can
4
find some.
episodes. You might, I'm sure it's, I mean, the internet never forgets. I'm sure it's out there somewhere, but if you can find it, it's hilarious. It's completely over the top, but I thought if there was, that's sort of like the other end of the bell jar from sort of like Ghost Hunters.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They're just trying to watch, but these guys are trying to actually like interact or confront ghosts, and I was like, okay.
For me, those the whole ghost thing.
Mhm.
The more interesting part is where the stories come from.
Yeah,
There's this
the
one,
folklore.
yeah. There's this one story that it's stuck with me ever since I heard it. It's from the Civil War.
Hmm.
They were cleaning up the battlefield, and the battle was still going on, and so they started piling these bodies in a house. And this guy who wasn't dead laid under these bodies for like 2 days.
Hmm.
Um, they finally got him out. He was absolutely insane, and he died a few days later. And so his ghost, supposedly haunts that area.
Right.
But just the thought of being that poor bastard lying there, unable to move, with tons of dead people laying on you—that's just fucking horrible.
There's you can find it on Netflix. There's a documentary called Cropsy, if you've ever heard of this, and it's basically like this East Coast sort of Long Island version of the Boogeyman. And the documentary people go over like, where did this start or what backs this up. And there's a lot to the movie, but a lot of it centers around this old abandoned sort of basically asylum, but it was open in New Jersey or something from like the 40s through the 70s or whatever, and basically where you sent mentally disabled children and people to just
Hmm.
sit. And in the late 70s, a news crew sort of did a ambush run in on this place because they'd heard that horrible things were going on in there, and it was led by none other than a young Geraldo Rivera.
Oh.
And if you watch Cropsy and you see the footage from that documentary or that news report or whatever of how people were living in that place, it is the most inhumane and horrific thing I've ever seen. It's patently disturbing, and I can't even describe it. And if you really want to like creep yourself out, go find Cropsy. But after they finally shut this place down, it was supposedly the most haunted place on the, because there's, people died there and there was a whole bunch of misery and a whole bunch of just horrible things that happened there. And I always get the notion that there is something to the effect of places that have had horrible things happen to it, that not necessarily like there's ghosts of what happened there or something, but if you go to a place and you have knowledge of what occurred there, or there's some kind of evidence of it, you know what, you know the term psychodrama.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I participated in a witch sort of Wiccan ceremony once. Now, I'm not religious at all. I don't believe in that stuff any save beyond the most barest of superstitions. But when I participated in this ritual, this sort of very structured, sort of people in a circle, communal kind of thing, there was a sensation of sort of uh, what's the word I'm looking for? exhalation, not exhalation, exhortation. So my vocabulary fails me for some reason. Anyway, there was something that felt imposed on me as a sensation in doing this ritual and in this sort of like group activity where everybody was sort of focused on doing this one thing. And I think there is something to the broadcasting of your own sensations about a place that can make a place scary.
Yeah,
If that makes sense. I mean, I'm kind of babbling now, but you know what I
no,
mean?
no, I understand what you're saying. I'm not religious at all.
Mm-hmm.
When I was working at Walmart one time, my original neck injury was way back in 2001, and because it was workman's comp, the surgery I needed ended up being put off way longer than it should have. So I've always had um, problems with my left arm ever since then.
Mm-hmm.
And I was having a really bad day, just could not move my left shoulder at all. And this really nice old woman came up to me and just asked me out of the blue. I wasn't like cringing or anything. Just asked me, can I lay my hand on you and heal you? And I'm like, fuck it, why not? And she put her hand on me, and I don't even remember what she said, but just this feeling that went through my shoulder actually made my shoulder feel better for about half an hour.
Mm.
But it's one of those things. The human mind is fucking amazing.
Mm-hmm.
What we want to believe is so easily transformed into reality for us sometimes that it's really fucking cool.
Your wife's in the chat.
My wife. It's like, no, my wife is sleeping.
So she's, oh no, it's Porco. Shit. Run. Porco. It's Piggy. Hi, Piggy.
Somebody asked us if we had a pick for Best Picture this year.
Oh God, I don't even know what the nominees are. Let's see.
Here's my thing. I'm not real big on movies right now. I can't remember the last new movie I've seen. No, it was Suicide Squad was the newest movie I've seen.
Let's see the Oscar nominations for 2017.
Wait, before you tell me what they are.
Yeah.
It's going to be something with black people.
Well, there are several, yes.
That's going to win. And it won't matter how good the movie actually is because of all of the shit last year. It's going to be virtue signaling. It's what they do.
Okay, so our options are, some of these I've heard of. Actually, most of these I've heard of. I haven't seen a single one of them. The Arrival, which I heard was a very good sci-fi movie.
I heard that was really good, and it's out on DVD now, isn't it?
I would not be surprised.
I'll have to watch it because I heard that was good.
We have Fences with Denzel Washington
yep.
and Viola Davis.
Go ahead.
Okay. We have Hacksaw Ridge, which I heard some very good things about, given the subject matter and the acting. We have Hell or High Water, which is, I guess that's, God, who is that? Oh, Jeff Bridges, Chris Pine, and one of the, is it Ben Foster? Ben Foster's good. He's such a good actor. I hadn't heard of that one, but apparently it's up for Best Picture. We have Hidden Figures, which is about the black women scientists at NASA.
Yep.
We have La La Land, which I've heard lots about, but have no interest in seeing whatsoever. Something called Lion, which I have no idea what that is. Manchester by the Sea, which, again, I've never heard of. And lastly, Moonlight, which has a African-American individual, or I should say black individual, because who knows? Yeah, who was it? Was it Thomas Sowell or someone? Or we know it was Larry Elder. Larry Elder, who was talking to Dave Rubin one time. He says Dave Rubin referred to him as African American. He says, "Don't call me that." He's like, "Why?" Because I'm not African. I was born here. I'm an American.
Oh,
you know, and like if you go up to somebody and say you're African American, it's like they could be Jamaican. They could be Haitian. You know, they could. It's such a it's too broad of a catch-all. I'm an American. Like, oh, okay.
I like the one with Morgan Freeman talking to. Who's that old fucker from 60 Minutes? Oh, God.
Well, it's, oh, God, it's the father of the guy that's on Fox News now.
You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, not Morley Safer. It's, fuck. I know exactly who you're talking about.
They were talking about Black History Month, and he goes, I don't want a Black History Month.
Right.
Well, why not? He goes, because it's just history.
Yeah,
Mike
it's just
Wallace, thank you.
Mike Wallace. Yeah, Chris Wallace is his son. That's what it was. Yeah.
Um, damn, I forgot what I was going to talk about.
Now we're talking about the best picture movies, and
Oh yeah. So with that, I'm going to go either with Fences or the one about the girls at NASA. Probably the one with the women at NASA.
uh, yeah, I guess I don't know.
Well, see, that's got women and they're
Yes,
black,
yes,
and Hollywood has to. They have some atonement to do for last year.
apparently so. And of course, the question will always be now: did they get the Oscar because of merit or because it was good for the optics?
Yeah, and I haven't seen any of these movies. I am
Yeah.
going strictly based on virtue signaling.
Let's see for actors. Oh, here we go. Well, let's see for lead actor. Oh, it's four white guys to one
Uh-oh.
black guy.
Who's the black guy?
Denzel.
Oh, Denzel will win.
So we have Casey Affleck, Andrew Garfield, Ryan Gosling, Viggo Mortensen, and Denzel. You
How
think
the
about
hell did
Denzel?
Ryan Gosling end up with an Oscar nod?
For La La Land. I have a lot of people telling me that's a great movie. I just the title for some reason it's the title that throws me off. Like I don't want to see it. I don't know.
Um, yes, Morgan Freeman did say the way to stop racism is to stop talking about it, and he's
Yes.
absolutely true. And it goes back
Yes.
to the whole colorblind thing that used to be the norm.
Oh,
Colorblind does not mean you don't see black people.
right. It's not a relevant factor to how you assess people.
No, it just means that you don't. Yeah, you don't.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter
it
because
doesn't
it
matter.
doesn't fucking matter.
Oh, and well, we have the same problem with the lead actress. Oh, we got four white women and one, I'll say, woman of color because I don't. I guess I don't know. We
Who
have
is it?
is it we have so the white women's be Isabel Huppert, Natalie Portman, Emma Stone, and Meryl Streep, and then we have Ruth. I her last name is oh god, Ruth Nega, Negga.
Oh wow,
I thought, oh, that's going to be awkward to say on stage.
that's gonna be that'll be good meme material.
Let's see.
Here's
Yeah,
real quick about
yeah,
the Oscars. I am not a huge fan of them,
no,
and largely it's because it's not even that it's just these. It's a trade show for the industry where they pat themselves on the back,
mm-hmm.
but it's because they are so. The last time I saw a winner who I thought was just completely out of the blue was oh god, I just lost her name, from My Cousin Vinny. She won for that.
Oh man,
Yes, thank you.
yep,
They have no care for what the audience actually likes.
yeah,
They are more interested in patting themselves on the back for some moving artsy piece of shit that people don't really care about.
mm-hmm.
So many movies that deserve at least to be acknowledged aren't, because all they're interested in is their virtue signaling shit.
I I'm sure there are people who know better than I do. There was some line where the Oscars weren't political.
Mm.
I mean, sure, the actors would get up and use the platform for this, saying this, that, and the other thing, but the actual process and movies that were chosen or selected or anything else wasn't a matter of politics. It might have been a popularity contest, and maybe it was about actual talent, but it wasn't political. And I don't know when that era stopped fully, and we became into this sort of like everybody's got to be so sensitive about who's winning or what their genitals are or what shade of their color their skin is. But I
Well,
wish they
even
go back.
before then, I mean, you don't see any comedy movie ever nominated for Best Picture. It's very rare for somebody to get a nomination for an acting category in a
Yes.
comedy.
Yeah, it's always
Because
a drama. It's
yeah,
always some kind of drama. Yeah,
because it has to be
has to be
so
serious.
serious.
It
Fuck
has to be
that.
serious and adult. Yeah. No,
Uh,
I was so hopeful that Deadpool would end up
yes,
getting on one of the categories like best picture. That'd be hilarious. But yeah, no, I'd love to see or a horror movie or I don't even know. God.
that's why when the People Choice Awards first came out, I
Mm-hmm.
much preferred them because it was stuff people actually liked. And that's not to
Yeah.
say like Titanic obviously deserved its win. It was popular both with people.
Ugh.
Brilliant movie if you ignore the plot.
Ugh.
Cinematically, it was beautiful.
Yeah. Okay.
But if you're going strictly from a who made the most money, they deserved it in that category for that year. But if you look at most of the winners, they're not big box office movies. They're
No.
artsy shit that people talk about so they can feel smart.
Well, but there, I mean, now I will say that there's something if the intent is to say this is the most well-made film, I wouldn't expect to see blockbusters there most of the time because the blockbusters are just, fluff for the box office.
But
Actual things that have like process or storytelling or are creative in the way that they tell a story or something. Like a movie that I would a class of movie that I would expect to see like get an Oscar for best film or something would be something like Memento, where you had a very simple way of telling a story in a very weird way, but it was very effective and very innovative. And it wasn't a big action movie. It wasn't some kind of blockbuster. It was just a really well made story. That I think is something that's worth saying something about. If you want to talk about like box office wins, make a different awards ceremony for like who got the biggest bang for their buck kind of thing. But for
see,
quality,
here's where I'm going to disagree with you, because
mm-hmm,
when you're talking about art, we have two separate things that we look at.
mm-hmm,
Far too often we have art that's the elevated art. This is the thing we're going to say is a perfect representation of this art form. Say
mm-hmm,
movies, for example.
right,
And then over here you have your popular art.
mm-hmm,
To me, popular art is just as important and probably more so than this hoity-toity shit over here. I get that I'm trying to think of a movie that would qualify here. But movies that are both, or that are just artistic, that you're like, okay, that's a really powerful thing. The movie, oh God, what was it? Matthew, not Matthew Broderick. Who's the little dude who kind of looks like him? Okay, Denzel was in a Civil War movie with Morgan Freeman.
Glory.
Glory, thank you.
Well, that was Matthew Broderick.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm picturing him with the beard, and it just doesn't look
Yes.
right.
No, amusingly enough, it was Matthew Broderick. Yeah.
But that was an excellent movie.
Yes.
Good story. Audience engagement. Really great movie. I can see
Mhm.
that being nominated.
Yes.
But then you take a movie like Star Wars,
Mm-hmm.
and you have this literally changed culture.
Yes.
That deserves a nod of some sort.
Oh, it got special effects.
That's a fucking bullshit category. That's like original score.
Oh, are you? Wait a second. Okay. Special effects, optical effects in film. That, I mean, especially back then, that is a fucking art form. That is something to be celebrated.
Hey, Porco.
That changed all types of things.
Good morning.
Well, and I will agree with you there, but
Yeah.
when you're looking at it, nobody puts on their DVD box best special effects.
Well, but here's the thing though. So the Academy Awards are you got film experts and film, snobs. It's not about necessarily box office. I mean, there are awards for the popular things, the People's Choice. You got Sundance. There's lots of award shows for things. The Academy, at its root, is about the process of filmmaking, the art of filmmaking. I mean, it was about hoity-toity from the get-go. So it doesn't bother me that the Academy Awards generally lean towards the more artistic things because that's their wheelhouse. If you want to go for popularity contests, you got People's Choice Awards and other things. So there's different categories for what you're celebrating. And so for the Academy Awards, I can see process over popularity easily.
Somebody said in chat there's an award show for the best award show. I remember laughing when I used to watch the Emmys, because they always do the best award show.
Yeah, I like the Razzies.
Really? That's weird.
The what now?
They do an award for the best award.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
For
An award for the best award show.
For the very brief time there was
Fuck America.
there was the horror,
Death to America.
for a very brief time there was the Horror Hall of Fame. They had this award show just for horror movies, and I remember the first occasion of it was broadcast. I know it wasn't live, but it was broadcast on TV, and it was hosted by like Freddy Krueger, and it was like filmed at Universal Studios, and he had all these horror icons come out. I just loved it. I thought it was hilarious.
Okay, I have to address this. It says we need a woman president, true, but she needs to be good at it. We do not need a woman president.
Nope.
That's not to say we shouldn't ever
the
have one.
clarinet minister.
Yeah,
No, I mean, why is gender even remotely relevant?
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't give a shit if it's a man or a woman. See, my problem with that is the whole need. If we have a woman president, fine, as long as she's good, but we don't need a fucking woman president.
Right. What's it going to do?
Speaking as a Brit, we're on our second female prime minister, and it makes not one damn bit of difference.
Yeah.
It was a big deal with Thatcher in '79 when she got in. But apart from being like, she got in because she was hard as fuck, and the previous Labour government had they'd fucking shut the goose.
Yeah.
They'd fucked it up royally. We had piles of, strikes with refuse collectors, electrical outages, 3-day working weeks, shit like this. And because of socialist policy, and the counter swing on the pendulum to that was like, right, okay, Margaret Thatcher's probably a bit psychotic. Let's put her in.
And if you think that putting in a president of whatever is going to be some kind of social panacea, yeah, 8 years of Obama, and boy, have our race relations just improved amazingly. Yeah,
Man.
Yeah, having Hillary break that glass ceiling. Oh, exactly. From that moment onward, all women are never going to complain again about being limited or being oppressed or being held back. No, not at all. Not at all.
All of the shit that Barack did bad, and there's plenty of it to criticize. The one that he should have at any point in his presidency, got up there and said, "Stop saying all of my critics are just racist. Stop that.
Yeah.
Stop it. Knock it off." Because he wasn't the one who did it most of the time, but he let his surrogates push that shit.
Yeah.
And that is what set race relations back so far. And
well,
fuck him for that.
That's part of it, I think. The other part of it is that if you actually latch on to the idea that, hey, a black man became president of the United States twice, well, but this still has to be a racist country, or else we don't have a job.
Yeah, I can see that.
We don't have a cause. We don't have a crutch to lean on if there's any evidence to disprove our belief system.
Well, they still could have done it because he didn't win with an overwhelming majority of the vote.
Sure.
So they still had some there that they could have worked with. And I see what you're saying. And absolutely, it's better for the race baiters, but he should have.
It's a perfect tool. It's a perfect tool because if you have a black president, then you can say, look, we even have a black president and look how much racism there is.
Yeah.
Oh, there's so much work to do. So much work to do.
There's that too, yeah.
When are you guys?
What really confuses me about
when are you guys going to get a black prime minister?
There's
Sadiq
a
Khan. He's
God,
not black,
no.
but still.
Please, no.
Sadiq Khan, first Muslim prime minister of Britain.
I don't know if you're aware of what he's actually been doing.
Oh no, I have. Yeah, Bear talks about it quite a bit.
Oh my god, that guy. I guess we have Diane Abbott, who is a long-standing MP on the Labour side. She's basically a Marxist. She's black, but she is a horrible racist.
Oh, nice.
Horrible racist. She runs a campaign called Stand Up to Racism, which is basically you kind of rent a mob Antifa light. And some of the shit she said in the past was, white people love to play divide and rule. We can't let them. But this is serious. So I don't think she's getting anywhere near power. There's not all that many black conservatives. There's a few. To be honest, there's more likely to be a Muslim prime minister before there's a black prime minister. In all honesty.
What is you know what the population is of blacks over there?
Of black people, African descent?
I looked that up one time not too long ago. I think it's like
Not much.
6%, 5%, 5 or 6%,
Well, the reason
3.5%.
3.5%. Okay.
yeah, the reason I ask is
In England.
I wouldn't imagine you guys have as much of a push for having the first black president or prime minister in your case as we did here, because you have such a small population.
Because you have something like 13% or so.
Yeah, 14 to
of African
15-ish.
Americans. Right. We have, let's see. Yeah, well, we have 3.5% of black people, a hodgepodge of a few others. It's more about like kind of, we're already broken up on Scottish and Welsh and Irish.
Can you guys carry this for
So-
just a minute? I need to go do something real quick.
Yeah, okay, go take a shit.
No, I think the baby's up. I got to go make sure she's sleeping.
Ooh,
Oh, bless.
Me,
It's got to be like 2 a.m.
me
over
and
there.
Piggy.
All right,
Hey,
Scribe.
Piggy.
Can we make this chat cancer? Let's make this chat cancer real quick while he's away.
Well, there was monkey and scribe porno being written in the chat earlier.
Oh dear God!
It was something else. I missed a lot of it, but apparently, if you scroll up high enough, there's several entries of some gay porn with monkey and I from somebody.
That's quite disturbing.
No, we will not be talking about Star Wars. Star Wars is being reserved for a conversation later. Well, now later today with me, Monkey, and Satsu. That'll be 8 p.m. Eastern time. That's 5 p.m. Pacific. And we'll be talking about several different topics. And I think we're saving Star Wars as the last course, the dessert, because
Why the people are talking about fucking Star Wars and I'm not invited? Fuck you. Fuck you.
This
Fuck
was
Sassy. Fuck you all.
this was set up a month ago, dude. Maybe you can join. I don't know. It's Monkey's stream. Ask him. But it's supposed to be me.
Yeah,
me and
maybe
Satsu.
I can. No,
Yeah, maybe you
no one
can.
invites me to parties anymore.
No, you're right.
No one invites me.
Yeah, you just crash them like you did with this one.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, okay.
I had the hangout
Yeah,
link.
exactly. There you go.
Okay.
Okay,
I'm
guys.
up early. I've got coffee.
I do have to bail. She woke up. She must have had a bad dream. She was
Okay.
just. But
Take
thank
care
you
of the
guys
small
for
one.
coming. Thank
Yep.
you guys for watching, and we will see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Laters.